My name is Wasim Karmiye and I'm a toy designer and sculptor. I've been doing this for about 8 years now, the toy design part. Working as a 3D artist and generalist for about 20 years. I'm hoping with this series of tutorials to create a couple of, record a couple of videos that shows, some of the tools, the paints that I use in my projects, client work, or even toys that I produce in-house. And I'm sorry if I'm a bit off. I'm usually not used to talking in front of a camera. But I wanted to create this video because I know how hard it is to find materials, especially when it comes to toy design. So if this video is going to be about primers, if you're expecting a video where I talk about the chemical composition of the primer and what type of primers are out there and the difference between them, this is a video not for you. What I'm going to be talking about is the primer that I've been using. And for the past, I think almost 3 years now, I've been using a primer called Mr. Surfacer, and it comes in a can like this, or it comes in a jar. You will notice that on the can and on the jar, you'll notice that they come in different. They do have something written on them which says like Mr. Surfacer 500 or Mr. Surfacer 1500. I don't know if there's like 500, 1000, and 1500. And the difference between them is with the 500 ones, the granulation is a bit large, and with the 1500, the granulation becomes smaller. So in layman's term, if you're working on a piece and it has a lot of defects or some surfaces on the hole, or some holes in the surface, or some scratches, or in our domain, print lines, usually I'll use the 500 to fill these out because it's not only a primer, it also it acts as a filler. So that's where the 500 number, and you're used to it by now. If you've been sanding for a while, you know that sandpaper comes from 500 to 6000 or whatever. But if you are using something like you're doing a piece of jewelry and you have some small details or maybe a fine texture that you don't want to have it, softened out, then I would recommend using like something 1500, because then it does have some filler to it, but it's more of like getting rid of some texture, or maybe even evening out the texture. Because what happens is when you start sanding the piece, between the print lines and the defects and the parts that you fill out, you will start getting different patterns from sanding and all that stuff. So to get that nice texture overall on all the figure, I like using the surfacer. Now you can get the can and you don't have to worry about mixing and airbrush, and the only problem that I have with this is a bit too expensive. And when I choose my primer, I want to see how much I can get out of a primer, for like how many pieces I can prime before it runs out. There are a couple of reasons that why I love the jar, and because first reason is you can use a brush. So you can use a brush straight out of the jar. It's thick, it's nice, so you can use it more like a maybe a thinner putty or something like that, just to fill out big holes. Or you can thin it out and you can put like multiple layers and have like a nice texture with it. Or you can use an airbrush, but with that one you need to use a thinner. Now my go-to thinner is Mr. Color Leveling. I love this thinner. It's really good. I use it with my Tamiya paints. I use it with my Mr. Hobby paints, and it's just perfect. I don't have to worry about not mixing properly. I don't have to worry about not drying quick enough. It doesn't dry too quick. It's not slow dry and so on. Now you can use multiple thinners. You can use the Mr. Colors thinner. Also, you can use the Tamiya color. I'm not going to get into thinners because that's a different subject on its own. But with the airbrush, you can thin it out depending on how you work. If you want to spray it out thick, or you want to have thinner layers to work with. When I work with primer, if you've seen my videos, you'll notice that I'll start sanding the piece once I fill the holes in and I do the UV curing. So I'll do the first pass of sanding without any primer, so I can get off most of the lines and the supports of the piece. Then I'll wash these pieces, make sure you don't have any dust in like small crevices and areas. Then I would leave them to dry. Once they're dry, put the first layer of primer, and I'll usually use Mr. Surfacer 500. Once the primer is dry, usually it dries. For the first pass, I don't wait that much. I mean, if I can work on that piece, I'll leave it to dry for like 20 minutes and I'll start sanding, because that primer is going to be taken off anyhow. Because usually I don't only sand the pieces only when you have defects. I'll sand it all over to give it like a nice surface. Because with printers, not only you'll get the print lines, but you'll get a texture from the resin, from the SLA printer, from the LCD printer. No matter what, you're still going to get a type of pattern or texture or whatever you want to call it. So I'll sand that. Once I have that prime sanded, I'll clean it up, leave it to dry. And one thing I forget. Once I have the pieces primed, I will take them under a magnifier glass or magnified glasses, and go over each piece, and I'll mark down each defect on the piece, just to make sure I don't miss any when I'm sanding. The thing is, when you're sanding, even if you're using normal sandpaper, or you're doing wet sanding, or you're doing the one that I use with the Proxon, the linear sander, it gets messy. It gets messy really quick, and you'll end up, because you're, especially if you're doing like a lot of pieces, or if you're doing a piece which is a bit complex, you'll end up missing some of those areas. So to make sure you don't do that, just mark them down. And if you're doing wet sanding, just mark them down with a permanent marker, and just sand those off, and it really help you. Now, once the first pass is done, clean the parts again, make sure you don't have any dust in any areas. And when I clean it, I usually wash them with a toothbrush, and I'll leave that to dry. Usually I'll leave that to dry 24 hours. Now, if you have a slow dryer, which I'm thinking of getting one, so you can dry, the one you use to dry fruits, and I've seen a couple of videos online which are presumably good. So I'll leave it one night, and sometimes two, and then I'll prime again. So this would be my second pass of priming. Usually, if I know that the piece is going to be, I'm going to add base colors, then usually 2 passes are more than enough. So I'll stop there, and I'll start adding the color. Now, before I add the color, I'll do the checkup again. So I'll take each piece under the magnifier glass and look at its speed, because sometimes you might miss something, and you don't want to, see it once you put the base color on and you put that much work, because then you have to strip all that color and everything. So just double check before you go adding any base colors to your pieces. But if sometimes when I work prototypes for clients and they don't want the piece to be painted, I'll usually do 3 or 4 passes, just to make sure you have like a really nice gray surface. And I also, once that's dried, I usually leave it like just 24 hours. Once that's dried, I'll go in and seal it with a sealer, and we'll talk about sealers. I'm gonna do an episode only about that. Seal that piece, and then the piece is ready to be shipped. So this is my workflow with the primer. I really hope you found this video helpful, and I'm planning to do more. And if you like this video and you would like to help out, check out my Patreon page or YouTube membership. And thank you for watching, and hopefully seeing you in the next one. Yeah, bye.
Nothing but me.